My name is Sheppard, Lemuel Sheppard, if you don't know me that well. And if you know me real well, it's Lemmy. And if you knew me a long, long, long time ago, it'd be Fat Lemmy. So I can always tell how, somebody calls me and what they call me. I know if I better come or not. Roll and tumble all night long. Said now roll and tumble all night long. You know what do I need with a woman? Well, now she wants to do me wrong. Down the blues jumped a rabbit, chased that rabbit up in a tree. Said now the blues jumped a rabbit, chased that rabbit up in a tree. And the rabbit turned around and told the blues, why the hell you want to bother me? Here to make you roll, tumble, roll and tumble all night long. Make you roll and tumble all night long. What do I need with a woman? Lord, she wanna do me wrong. Way I'm sleeping, my back and shoulders is getting tired. The way I'm sleeping, oh, my back and shoulders sure enough is tired. Gonna turn over and over, trying to on the other side. Make me roll and tumble all night long. Oh, make me roll and tumble all night long. What do I need with a woman? She wants you to do me wrong. Roll and tumble. Hey, thank you. Thank you very much. I'm gonna do a song called My Old Captain. And first I got to tell you where I learned this song. I learned it from a woman named Eva Jessie. When I was in Pittsburgh, I was going to school and she showed up down there. She was 87 years old, and she was from Coffeyville, Kansas. And I call myself knowing everything about blues and jazz. I've been studying music and read all the books about how the blues came from the South. But here's a woman from Coffeyville, Kansas, and she heard the blues from her father. And that means that by the time Alan Lomax went down south in the 1920s or 30s, the blues was already in Kansas. Like 30 years ago, And something else, I started doing the math, and I thought, all the old bluesmen, the oldest you can go back to, Robert Johnson, Mance Liston, Reverend Gary Davis, they all did a ragtime song. Because the old men on the streets, when they were young boys, was playing ragtime guitar. Well, ragtime came from Missouri. Scott Joplin's from Missouri, And Bessie Smith says she heard blues in Missouri. Now my old captain, there's a lot of captain songs, when they say captain, they're talking about their boss man. And these are probably levee songs, when they were rebuilding the levees. The Army Corps of Engineers was supervising that work, and no matter how mean your boss was, everybody had a story about their boss. So that's why there's lots of captain songs. If I'd known my captain was blind, darling. If I'd have known my captain was blind, darling. If I'd have known my captain was blind, I wouldn't have come to work until 9:30, darling. Captain. If I'd have known that captain was deaf, darling. If I'd have known my captain was deaf, darling. If I'd have known my captain was deaf, I would have cussed him as long as I had breath, darling. He said when he dies, he's gonna let me free, darling. He said when he dies, he's gonna let me free, darling. He got old and his head got bald, he got out of the notion of ever dying at all, darling. That old captain had one glass eye, darling. That old captain had one glass eye, darling. He walk away and leave his eye on a rock. The glass eye will watch me till 6 o'clock, darling. Thank you. Thank you. Let me do the crawdad song for you. That song goes back to, I always say back before the radio stations and the record companies divided up all the music. Because in the old days, everybody listened to the same music. Everybody danced to the same music. Even around here, something I started doing during COVID, I started doing research. And I started, digging around in old newspapers. And so every time I come to a city in Kansas, I tell them a story about their area from the 1880s and 1890s. And Ellsworth, had a black concert company there. They put on minstrel shows and they would have dances, and sometimes they would have a dance, and the cornet band from Wilson would come down and play for them. And I always wondered why, Dr. Carver, George Washington Carver came all the way out here. But there was some thriving activity out here, with music and we didn't call it blues, but it was just the same songs. As a matter of fact, Crawdad song was kind of in the vein of one of those songs that the cornet bands would play them. Everybody danced to them. They would have dances out here, and it didn't matter, whether the dance was a black dance or a white dance. You could hire a white cornet band or a black cornet band to play for your dance because the music was all the same. It was popular music. And so Ellsworth was one of those places where they would have dances, and they had a lot of musicians around here. They would either They said they would either get off the train or get kicked off the train. They didn't know why they got off in these little towns all over here, but the railroads, ran all the way through here, and musicians would come from Kentucky or sometimes they'd come from Missouri, up north somewhere to Illinois. But they would always stop off here in these little towns all across Kansas. And there was a couple of guys out here named Chicken Charlie. Chicken Charlie would play. There was a guy named Frank McVeigh. He was considered a really great singer. But they would sing songs like what we call, the old, two-step, because the old fiddle players, they would play two-steps. And, sometime around 1880, people quit dancing the two-steps, and those old fiddle players are in their 60s by then. But Crawdad song was one of those old songs that came out of that tradition. You get a line, I get a pole, honey. You get a line, I get a pole, babe. Said you can get a line, I get a pole, and we go fishing at the Crawdad hole, honey. Baby, be mine. Now wake up, old man, you slept too late, honey. Wake up, old man, you slept too late, babe. Now wake up, old man, you slept too late. The Crawdad man done past your gate, honey. Baby, be mine. I've got a house in Baltimore, honey. I've got a house in Baltimore, babe. I've got a house in Baltimore. I got a $40 carpet on my floor, honey. Baby, be mine. You get a line, I get a pole, honey. You get a line, I get a pole, babe. You can get a line, I get a pole, and we go fishing at the Crawdad hole, honey, baby, be mine. My old man's got a house on a lot, honey. My old man's got a house on a lot, babe. My old man's got a house on a lot, and your old man's got diddly squad, honey. Baby, be mine. You can get a line, I can get a pole, honey. You can get a line, I get a pole, baby. Now you can get a line, I can get a pole, and we'll go fishing at the Crawdad hole, honey. Baby, be mine. Say it, honey. Baby, be mine. Honey, baby, be mine. Thank you. Thank you. Little man walked up and down to find an eating place in town. He searched the menu through and through to see what 15 cents would do. One meatball, one meatball. This here man wants one meatball. He told the waiter near at hand about the simple meal he planned. The guests were astounded, one and all, to hear the waiter loudly call down the hall. One meatball, one meatball. This here gent wants one meatball. Little man felt ill at ease. Some bread, sir, if you please. He was astounded by the call. no bread with one meatball. One meatball, no spaghetti. One meatball, you get no rigatoni. One meatball, you get no antipasta. One meatball, you get no lasagna. One meatball, you get no raviolis. One meatball, you get no ostaglioli. One meatball, you get no linguine. One meatball, you get no tortellini. You get no bread with one meatball. Little man was very sad. One meatball was all he had. And in his dreams, he hears the call. You get no bread with one meatball. One meatball. One meatball. You get no bread with one meatball. One meatball. One meatball. You get no bread with one meatball. Thank you. Let's see, I'll do a song called the St. Louis Blues. W.C. Handy song. You know, he didn't like blues music when he first heard it. You know, he thought it was he called it the overs and overs. You know, when he grew up in Alabama, he would hear musicians playing this music. But he traveled throughout Kansas with the Mahara minstrels, and you know, so he was playing this song, you know, like in Wichita, with places like that. He had a fancy band with horns and violins, and he took his band down south. And he said there was a group of musicians with banjos and violins, and they wanted to get up on the stage and play while he and his guys took a break. You know, I don't know what they did on their breaks in those days. Maybe went outside and counted their money or something, I don't know. But while he came back in, this violins and banjos and mandolin groups were playing this wild music, and people were dancing crazy on the stage, and they were throwing coins on the stage. And that's what people did in those days. That's how a lot of itinerants made money, is nickels and dimes. And so he heard that music. Well, he went back to New York and started writing down that music. And so what he did, all those things you hear in blues, you know, that stuff that you hear us do, well, he knew how to write that into the music. And then anybody could play blues. You know, like in most Western music, you know, you have a major chord, and then you have a minor chord. Well, in blues, you have both at the same time, and that's what you're hearing. No major, no minor, just the same old thing. So that's what he was famous for, all those little things. He could write them into music, and anybody could play. So that's what made him the father of the blues. And this is a song that made him famous, St. Louis Blues. I hate to see evening sun go down. I hate to see evening sun go down. 'Cause my baby, she done left this town. I'll be feeling tomorrow just like I feel today. Feeling tomorrow just like I feel today. Gonna pack my bags and make my getaway. St. Louis woman with your diamond ring, but hair. St. Louis woman would not have gone nowhere. I got the St. Louis blues, just as blue as I can be. That woman's got a heart like a rock into the sea, or else she wouldn't have gone so far from me. Well, I love my baby like a schoolboy loves his pie, like a Kentucky colonel loves that minute ride. I will love my baby to the day I die. That's why I hate to see the evening sun go down. That's why I hate to see the evening sun go down. It's because my baby, she done left this town. It's because my baby, she done left this town. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll do one of those little ragtime songs for you. You know, how I learned some of these songs was that there was, you know, in the old days, you know, when musicians would get kicked off the train and have to sit on the street corner playing music, you know, they were supposed to have a permit, and a permit would cost you about $10. It was a lot of money, like in, you know, 1870 or 1880. And so even on the street corners around here, they would get off the train, and so they would get arrested, sort of. The sheriff or the constable would take them down to the courthouse and make them buy, or you know, make them buy a permit. And I would read in the paper, sometimes the guy would say, he'd have a guitar and he'd say, hey, why don't you play us a song on that thing? Well, it would be in the paper the next day. An itinerant musician came to town. There was a guy named Ruffin, and he came to Wichita. It's like 1909 or something like that. And he played, you know, a little ragtime song. And you know, it's interesting because, you know, they asked him where he came from and all about it. It was all in the paper, you know, and that was made him famous because, you know, once they knew he was in town, people would get you to play at their dances. Sometimes young people would put you in the back of their wagon. They would ride up and down the street with a couple of musicians in the back of the wagon, just like we turn our stereos on. And, you know, or sometimes, you know, like you go in a store, you hear music. Well, sometimes the store owner would put them in a store, and you'd play music. So getting arrested and getting downtown and getting your name in the paper was kind of a big deal, you know. But this guy, he said he had been riding the blinds, and I always heard blues songs and musicians saying, you know, if I had to leave here riding the blinds, and I always wondered what that was about. And so this guy Ruffin, he said he had been riding the blinds. I thought it was a part of a train, you know, but he said he'd been riding the blinds from Cuba to New York to Wichita. And then I knew it had to be something else, but it was really the blind baggage. You know, a lot of these trains carry more freight and baggage than they did people. So if he could get on a boat or a train or something and hide in the baggage cars or something, but he made it from Cuba. And it was probably during the Spanish-American War, you know, a lot of guys went down there for that and played music and got on a boat in the blind baggage and got to New York and finally made it to Wichita, Kansas. But he played a little ragtime song, and the way the newspaper article wrote it was that they had the name of the police chief and said he was kind of doing a jig in the street, you know, because this musician was playing this music, it was ragtime on the street. And I got a song that's from that area. It's called I Got Mine, and I heard it from Blind Willie McTell, and he was another one of these old Southern musicians who heard ragtime music. And so obviously musicians, you know, from Missouri, I guess, or wherever, you know, and of course it probably got picked up in vaudeville shows, and so he could have heard it a number of places. But it's part of the old vaudeville show tunes. It's called I Got Mine. I got mine, boys, oh, I got mine. Hanging around here trying to get some goodies all the time. Now ever since that I've been living hot, I've been living on chicken and wine. I belong to knockdown society, oh, I got mine. And when the turkey was first brought in, all the people began to grin, thinking about the good times I was had by all, I couldn't say exactly when. Now one fella grabbed that turkey by the neck, oh, I clung on behind. He might thought he had the whole file and gone, oh, I got mine. I got mine, boys, oh, I got mine. Hanging around here trying to get some goodies all the time. Now ever since that I've been living, I've been living on chicken and wine. I belong to knockdown society. Oh, I got mine. I went downtown to a card game. There was something that wasn't against my will. I lost every penny that I had in my pocket for the greenback dollar bill. Well, I rubbed my head and I shrugged my shoulders. I thinking I was way behind. Just before the cops kicked in the back door. Oh, I got mine. I got mine, boys. Oh, I got mine. Hanging around here trying to get some goodies all the time. Now ever since that I've been living, I've been living on chicken and wine. I belong to Knockdown Society. I got mine. I said I belong to Knockdown Society. Oh, I got mine. I got mine. I'll play another one of the songs I learned from Eva Jessie, and this was, I changed the name of it a little bit, but it was just a song she said her father taught her, and she called it High Brown, and I call it Maggie Campbell because that was a person's name I wanted to remember that I had read about. Maggie Campbell, who's your good man gonna be? Maggie Campbell, who's your good man gonna be? If he mistreats you, girl, come on, see about me. Maggie Campbell, why you do me so wrong? Maggie Campbell, why do you do me so wrong? If you don't believe I'm leaving, count the days I'm gone. Maggie Campbell, why you do me so wrong? Maggie Campbell, why you do me so wrong? If you don't believe I'm leaving, count the days I'm gone. You know, I heard that verse in a Johnny Taylor song, and it shows you how this stuff travels, you know. She heard it from her father, you know, a long time ago, and then Johnny Taylor picks it up. But somebody told me that, you know, Eva Jessie, she was in Kansas City, and Johnny Taylor was in Kansas City at the same time. So who knows where that line came from originally and how it got in his hand. I bought you real fine shoes for your pretty little feet. I bought you real fine shoes for your pretty little feet. Girl, you took those shoes and you walk all over me. Maggie Campbell, engine coming down the line. Maggie Campbell, engine coming down the line. It must be Texas bound, Gainesville number 9. Maggie Campbell, you know I love you so. Maggie Campbell, you know I always love you so. If you let me come back this time, I would never let you go. Thank you. Walk the floor and scratch your head, poor man. Walk the floor and scratch your head. Walk the floor and scratch your head. You got 10 little babies crying to be fed, poor man. You got 10 little babies gnawing on a bone, poor man. You got 10 little babies gnawing on a bone. 10 little babies gnawing on a bone, 10 little bellies moaning and groaning, poor man. Singing poor man, poor man, poor man, poor man. Singing poor man, poor man. Now you like your coffee black and hot, poor man. Oh, you like your coffee black and hot. Now you like your coffee black and hot. Now you got no coffee and you got no pot, poor man. Now where them hens that used to crow, where them hens that used to flow, where them hens that used to lay, well they all got hungry and they flew away, poor man. Singing poor man, poor man, poor man, poor man. Singing poor man, poor man. This is one of those Dust Bowl songs. You know, I used to sing these songs in retirement homes and had people who lived through that. This lady said back when they were young and during the Dust Bowl, you know, they would, in the Depression, they would keep all their leftovers on a tray. You know, people would come around to the back door. In those days, you know, they were too proud to knock on your front door, but if they knocked on your back door, you know, they could get something to eat from you, and they saved everything. She said 10 or 12 people every day would come around to the back door. And my grandfather, he lived in Kansas City at that time. He drove a truck and picked up food from restaurants, and he was supposed to take it off the dump. And my mother said he wouldn't take it to the dump first. He would take that food and park that truck on the street in the neighborhood, you know, down on Water Street in Kansas City, Kansas, and let people kind of get food off that truck from restaurants. But people got by the best way they could. See them jackrabbits jumping round, poor man. See them jackrabbits jumping round. See them jackrabbits jumping round. Go and get your gun, go and get your hound, poor man. Well, you got no shells for your gun, poor man. Well, you got no shells for your gun. Now you got no shells for your gun. Your hound's so hungry he can't run, poor man. Singing poor man, poor man, poor man, poor man. Singing poor man, poor man. You know, I watched a television documentary on the Dust Bowl, and apparently jackrabbits weren't very hard to catch. Apparently that was the problem. They were everywhere. And these men would go out with whatever they had, clubs, and kill jackrabbits. Because whatever you put in the ground, if it little tiny bit of green poked up out of the ground, the jackrabbits would converge on it. So I'd have to change that line about looking for a jackrabbit, because they probably had enough of jackrabbits to eat. I had never really seen one until I took a trip down. I was doing school shows. I was near Panama, New Mexico. And I actually got a bunch of them jackrabbits myself. I didn't have a gun or anything. I had a big old Buick. It was dark, you know, it was at night. I got a whole mess of them. Got no bread and you got no meat, poor man. Oh, you got no bread and you got no meat. Oh, you got no bread and you got no meat. Getting kinda hungry, what you gonna eat, poor man? Singing poor man, poor man. Poor man, poor man. Singing poor man, poor man. Baby's in the cradle, brother's gone to town, sister's in the parlor, trying on a gown, and mama's in the kitchen. Yeah, she's messing all around. And Papa's on the roof and he won't come down. Papa's on the roof and he won't come down. Papa's on the roof and he won't come down. No, he won't come down. No, he ain't coming down. He won't come down. No, he won't come down. He said the blues they come, the blues they go. Nobody know where the blues come from when the blues is gone. Yeah, the blues is gone. And everybody's happy when the blues is gone. But Papa's on the roof and he won't come down. Papa's on the roof and he won't come down. No, he won't come down. No, he ain't coming down. He won't come down. No, he won't come down. Baby's in the cradle, brother's gone to town, sister's in the parlor trying on a gown, and mama's in the kitchen. Yeah, she's messing all around. And Papa's on the roof and he won't come down. Papa's on the roof and he won't come down. Papa's on the roof and he won't come down. No, he ain't coming down. No, he ain't coming down. He won't come down. No, he won't come down. Papa saw a chicken standing in the yard. He picked up a rock and he threw it hard. He threw it hard. He hit that chicken in the head. And now the chicken's in the gravy, and the gravy's on the bread. The chicken's in the gravy, and the gravy's on the bread. But Papa's on the roof and he won't come down. Papa's on the roof and he won't come down. Papa's on the roof and he won't come down. Papa's on the roof and he won't come down. No, he won't come down. No, he won't come down. He won't come down. No, he won't come down. Baby's in the cradle, brother's gone to town, sister's in the parlor trying on the gown, and mama's in the kitchen. She's messing all around. And Papa's on the roof and he won't come down. Papa's on the roof and he won't come down. Papa's on the roof and he won't come down. He won't come down. No, he ain't coming down. Thank you. I'll do Walkin Cane for you. And a lot of shows used to come through here. You know, Kansas had a lot of these vaudeville and minstrel shows come through. Every one of them that was actually on the tour circuit came through Kansas. And I think it was the railroads kind of helped out a lot. Because some of these shows were big, you know, they had 30 animals, you know, 20 people, a band, you know, cornet band, string band. And the trains helped all that. And so all these people I used to read about, you know, James Bland and Sam Lucas and all those people, they traveled right through here. There's one guy, Sam Lucas. He was one of the most famous vaudeville minstrel show guys in the world. But when he would come to Kansas, he would work with a guy named McCandless, Will McCandless out of Manhattan, Kansas. And we're talking like the 1880s, you know. And he would work with Will McCandless, and he would be part of his troupe. You know, Will McCandless was one of these people they called the Banjo King. You know, there are lots of people had the name the Banjo King. You know, something about all the banjo players around Kansas. They all had names like the well-known Sam Smith, you know, or the Major Waffscale. There was Colonel Hancock from Salina, Kansas. And they said he lived to be over 100 years old. And when the Jesse James came to Salina, they said they would pitch him silver dollars, you know, back in those days. but they all had names like the famous somebody, the well-known, and they were all over. They were old men, by the 1880s. These guys were in their old men for those days, 50s, 60s. This is Hand Me Down My Walkin Cane, and this is an old song, but, it's been around. Jerry Lee Lewis sang it, Lou Rawls sang it, But it's been around, it was probably around 100 years by the time they sang those songs. Hand me down my walking cane. Hand me down, oh, my walking cane. Hand me down my walking cane. I'm leaving on the midnight train. All of my troubles been carried away. Job I'm working sure is getting rough. Job I'm working sure is getting rough. They want me to work a little bit harder, but I'm working hard enough. All my troubles been carried away. Hand me down my walking cane. Hand me down, oh, my walking cane. Hand me down my walking cane. Oh, I'm leaving on the midnight train. All my troubles been carried away. There's a light shining down the road. There's a light shining down the road. There's a light shining down the road. Here comes somebody up and carry my load. All of my troubles been carried away. Hand me down my walking cane. Hand me down, oh, my walking cane. Hand me down my walking cane. I'm leaving on the midnight train. All of my troubles been carried away. All of my troubles been carried away. Thank you. Thank you. Let me grab a guitar pick. That way I can do a song called John Hardy. But he's the guy we kind of confused with John Henry, But, out of the two, John Henry and John Hardy, the one that we know is true is actually John Hardy because, he's the bad guy. See, when you're a bad guy, there's a lot of paperwork. Wanted posters and court documents and arrest stuff in the newspaper. But John Henry, the good guy, there's not a lot of proof that he was actually a real person, no real documents. But they lived around the same time in West Virginia, where it's really rough, in that area. They were miners in those mining camps. So, John Henry and John Hardy, who knows? But there is a lot of documentary, documents and stories about John Hardy, the bad guy. He was a restless little man, carrying 2 guns every day. He shot a man on the West Virginia line. Saw John Hardy running away. Yes, I saw John Hardy running away. He stood up on that Freestone Bridge. There he thought he was free. Here come the sheriff and grabbed him by the arm. He said, John Hardy, you can come with me. said, John Hardy, come and go with me. John Hardy was standing in his cell. Tears were rolling down his eyes. He said, I've been the death of many a poor boy. Now I'm ready to die. Now I'm ready to die. John Hardy had a mother and a father too. He called for them to go his bail. There's not a bill alive for the murdering man. They shoved John Hardy back in jail. Yes, they shoved John Hardy back in jail. John Hardy, I'll be true to you. She said, John Hardy, I'll be true to you. I've been to the West. I've been this whole world around. I've been to the East River and I've been baptized. Take me to my hanging ground. He said, take me to my hanging ground. John Hardy was a restless little man, carrying 2 guns every day. Shot a man on the West Virginia line. I saw John Hardy running away. I saw John Hardy running away. I saw John Hardy running away. Thank you. You know, my grandfather grew up in Okmulgee, Oklahoma, and I remember when I was trying to doing songs about bad men, and I came across a story about the Buck Gang. And these were, 4 young men, and they all went to Okmulgee, and they held the whole town at bay for like 8 days, And I thought, boy, I had to known about that. I could have asked my, my father or my grandfather if they remembered the Buck Gang coming to Okmulgee, in those days, and what was that like, But it was funny because, my grandfather, he still, even when he moved to Kansas City, he still kept his guns kind of like in the holsters, hung on the side of the bed. And it was funny, grow up in Kansas City in the 60s and 70s and going to my grandfather's house and seeing this gun hung on it, hung on the side of the bed. I guess he's, waiting for the Buck Gang to return. But, he never was that far away from his gun scabbards, as they call them in those days. Alabama bound, Alabama bound, Alabama bound, Alabama bound. If the train goes south, sweet darling, I'm Alabama bound. Don't you leave me here, girl, don't you leave me here. Don't you leave me here, sweet mama, don't you leave me here. If you must leave me here, sweet darling, leave a dime for beer. Alabama bound, oh, I'm Alabama bound. Alabama, hey, Alabama bound. Sure as the train goes south, sweet darling, I'm Alabama bound. And I know my good girl, she's gonna jump and shout. Yes, I know my good girl, she's gonna jump and shout. sweet daddy comes strutting out, Alabama bound. Oh, I'm Alabama bound, Alabama bound, Alabama bound. Sure as the train goes south, sweet darling, I'm Alabama bound. Gonna take a trip down the Mobile line. Hey, pretty mama, hey, pretty papa, all about the Mobile line. Honey, it's the road to ride and ease your troubled mind. I got a letter, this is the way it read. I got a letter, this is the way it read. Said, come on home, your sweet mama's dead. I grabbed me a suitcase, bundled up on my clothes. I grabbed me a suitcase, bundled up all my clothes. And when I got there, she was laying on a cooling board. When I got to the funeral, everybody standing round. Hey, pretty mama, hey, pretty papa, all about standing around. You should have heard me crying when they let her down. Gonna take a trip down the Mobile line. Hey, pretty mama, hey, pretty papa, all about the Mobile line. Honey, it's the road to ride, ease your troubled mind. Now before I die, don't you bury poor daddy at all. Hey, pretty mama, hey, pretty papa, don't you bury poor daddy at all. Just take my bones and put them in alcohol. Now you take my picture and you put it in a frame. Hey, pretty mama, hey, pretty papa, all about my picture in a frame. That way you can see poor daddy every day just the same. Now before I die, I think I won't stop by friend. Hey, pretty mama, hey, pretty papa, I think I want to stop by friends. I want to stop by friends, give all the pretty women a chance. Thank you. So let's see, I can do one more song for you. I think I'll do a song called Trouble in Mind. And this was a song that W.C. Handy brought here. There was a poet named Frank Marshall Davis, and he lived in Ark City. This is like 1912 or something like that. And he said he went to Wichita to hear this. W.C. Handy playing this song. Everybody played it. It was one of those songs that, you know, Bob Wills probably played it, W.C. Handy played it, jazz musicians played it. It's kind of like a crawdad song because everybody plays this song. Trouble in mind, I'm blue, but I won't be blue always. The sun's gonna shine through my back door someday. I'm going down to the river and I'm going to take my rocking chair. And if these troubles don't leave me, I'm gonna rock myself away from here. Trouble in mind, I'm blue, but I won't be blue always. The sun's gonna shine through my back door someday. When you've got trouble on your mind, all you can do is cry. never had this kind of trouble in my life before. I never had this kind of trouble in my life before. Hey, thanks everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. My pleasure to be here. Thank you.